In this video, I'm going to be painting the outside of the house. So I'll start out by mixing up the paint, make sure it's consistent. To load up the paint sprayer, I'm going to put the input into the paint and then run it until it starts coming out the output right there. Once I've done that, I know the air is out of line, so I'm going to go and put it in the paint can as well. Then I'm going to switch it to come out the end of the sprayer and run it until paint comes out the end of the sprayer so that I know the line is primed. And I'm going to put the spray tip on it. Here I'm using a 515 spray tip, which works well for a house like this. So the spray width is about 10 inches when it's about 12 inches away from the surface. And here I'm masking all of the concrete so that the overspray doesn't get on the porch there. And I'm using a normal spraying technique, keeping the spray tip perpendicular to the surface, about 12 inches away, and then overlapping about 50% each path. And before I started painting, I made sure and did a bunch of test spots to make sure it was the right pressure. So the spray pattern should be consistent, slightly faded on the edges, but there shouldn't be any fingers, which are heavy spots, only on the edges of the spray pattern. And here on this porch, this is all cedar, so I'm having to back brush it to force the paint into the edges and holes that are in it. Paint job on this was not done well previously. It looks like the paint had faded and someone had repainted it but didn't prep it at all, so they didn't pressure wash it or do any back brushing, so it had quickly failed within about 5 years. So this is me just redoing the paint job completely. So to do the soffits, I'm just overlapping 50% as well, and I didn't want to paint the front of the fascia. I wanted to leave it white here, so I'm just making sure to angle it when I get to the fascia so that I'm only painting the back of it. To paint these taller areas, I'm using a ladder standoff here, so I could be about 4 feet away from the surface. And with my 30-inch spray wand, it's more comfortable. I could get a big area safely. You can see that spray pattern going over the shingles because I'm angling it so that I'm only spraying the back of the fascia. The overspray isn't enough to get on the shingles, and you can't really see it at all. Here I'm making sure to put it really heavy on the top of the garage area because the water will get on top of that little bit of trim and quickly rot it. And at the door here, you can see I'm overlapping the 50% and it goes pretty quickly. It doesn't matter if you go up and down or left and right. And along the trim on the side of the garage, I'm making sure and going heavy. So following the same steps through here. So when painting the siding, the paint job was okay on the siding. It hadn't gotten to the point of failing. So it was a nice smooth surface. So I ended up just going up and down along with the grains of it, and it was covering all the small cracks if there were any. To get the underside, I am masking it so that the paint is off the foundation. It seems like I missed a few spots, but I'm not too worried because it's just concrete. You can see on all the windows I've masked them with the plastic sheeting. To get the gutters, I did want to paint them because all the paint had already failed off, so I used a strip of cardboard and just held it over the top of it so that when I spray the gutters, the paint doesn't get on the shingles. And here, the siding meets up with the brick directly, so I'm using 12-inch masking paper directly beneath it so that I don't have to mask it with the piece of cardboard. It makes it a lot easier. So same thing when painting this big broad area. I'm using the ladder standoff. Here I'm painting underneath the porch. I'm making sure to wear my big goggles. There's a lot of overspray when you're painting ceilings. All the paint will come down on your face. You can see here I'm painting the ceiling first. It's not a big deal on this day because it was around 40 degrees, so the dry time is really long. But if it's a hot summer day, it'll dry pretty quickly. So in those cases, I like to do the ceiling first, then the walls. And you can see you don't want to leave you don't want to let the edge dry of where you're painting. You always want to keep a wet edge. That way it has a uniform appearance. If you let it dry, then you can really see it where you let it dry and then start it up again. You can see on some of these areas I didn't mask near like the windows. In those cases, I just move the paint sprayer and turn it sideways so that the narrow edges along the edge of the area I need to paint, and then just quickly hit the trigger a few times. Saves a little bit of time. So on this wood, it's the same cedar type of wood as the front, and again, the paint job was horrible to begin with. So I'm making sure to put the paint on with the sprayer to save time, but then I still have to go back with a brush and really push the paint into the fibers. This makes the paint job last a lot longer. If you don't back brush it, it'll just float over those edges and it'll quickly chip and fail. So again, these columns are the same way, and these get hit with rain and sun. So I'm making sure I'm doing a good job with the paintbrush. And to finish it off, I'm painting the last bit of the soffit and fascia. So in this case, this has the gutter side as well. So I'm just masking the shingles at the top of the gutters with my strip cardboard so the overspray doesn't get on the shingles. And that's how I paint the outside of the house. Thanks for watching.